which I assume everybody's done since Halloween of 2010. Everybody's watching it. Comic book nerds like myself too. But watching that and watching you guys watch it is really intense too, because it's got to be cool to make the thing, but then to watch the finished product.
You know what was fun was listening to your guys react. This, by the way, this is the first time we've ever done this, so I sort of feel like I want to watch every episode with you guys and hear your commentary on it. You guys were saying, I wanted to hear what?
I don't think they've been light on commentary thus far, by the way.
All right, keep it going.
Yeah.
But no, Michael's going to tweet this in a minute.
This guy will find any excuse to do sit-ups, won't he?
Excuse guys, wait 1 second. Sorry, we spent 3 years together, so as you can tell. Well, listen, first of all, thank you guys for coming and bringing so much to us. The show is what the show is because of you guys. The people that watch the show, that tune in every week. It really is tremendously exciting. It's funny watching those clips because we'll watch them and be like, oh, I remember that day. Oh yeah, there's our, like the walker that attacked Steven is our stunt coordinator, Russell Towery. And he was so miserable in the makeup and hated wearing the dentures and the contacts. And I'm like, dude, he was RoboCop. He wore the RoboCop suit. And I said, you're RoboCop and you don't like a couple of contact lenses? So it was kind of a lot of fun.
But was it from the beginning, was it, because obviously nobody knows where something like this is going to go. It's a different take on the whole zombie genre. Was it kind of a guerrilla thing for you guys at first? Or was it, hey, let me grab this guy and throw some jelly donut on him and then throw him in the back of the scene? And...
Well, you know, Frank Darabont, who wrote and directed the pilot and developed the show, is a genius. We love working with him. Lauren works with him quite often. You know, when we did the first episode, he sort of pre-sold parts of the show on some zombie busts that we had done. So when he went and pitched it, we had like 5 zombie heads that he took into the meetings with him. So it was an important aspect of it. But again, you know, casting was so critical, and the fact that there were characters written into the pilot episode, like Daryl and Merle, who weren't in the comic book. So we had no idea when the show aired what it would do. You know, I mean, my first gig was Day of the Dead with George Romero in 1980. So zombie show to zombie show. It's pretty exciting that 25, 30 years later, people are still digging it, and it's pretty great. So,
Michael, why is that? Why are people still digging the zombie thing? You get the call and somebody goes, hey, we want you to be in this zombie show, and you go, yeah, cool, I'll do it. Was there, what did you have to do to kind of get your head around what this was going to be? Did you dig into the source material? What did he do?
He's tweeting, you have to give him
Wait a minute.
I'll give you a second to tweet.
What do you want to know?
I want you to finish the tweet.
Yeah. Come on, man.
I don't like to cut into anybody's tweet.
My tweet is... Live.
You gonna
Are you ready? I'm going to share, I'm going to Instagram share on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm going to say,
So which is the best Instagram filter for the Walking Dead live photo is what I want to know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, 1977.
My fucking feet are... I can't type.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
This beat's so nice.
I know because it's a theater and everybody, you're all trained actors. And
I did it!
Look at you! Fantastic.
Hi.
Good job, Mike.
What do you want to know?
The quote of the evening, of course, barely into the show, the quote of the evening will be my thumb's working. That'll be the hashtag for the show tonight.
My thumb is
working. Yeah. They call you and they say, hey, we're going to write a couple of characters into this show. We want you to be one of them. Did you dig into all that source material, or did you just start from there and go, cool, this is the guy I'm going to make?
Well, first off, they never did that. They didn't call me up at all. Yeah, basically, they called my friends up and they said, "Hey, do you know somebody that would come down and work for one episode and then do this character? You know, he cuts his hand off and you know, he's kind of a badass, kind of southern survivalist, you know." And my friends go, "I know the fucking guy." They called me right away, and I went down. I ended up getting a job, and Frank Darabont and Gil Ann Hurd ended up liking me after a few days. And so, yeah, that's how it went for me. So I didn't know any of this. So it was kind of a very surprised kind of thing. I didn't know I was going to be in any of the other episodes or anything.
Laura, as an actor, is it better to go into it kind of having a blank slate? Or, I know everybody works differently. You come into it, did you go, I want to know where this is coming from, or this is just how I'm going to do it?
In terms of Andrea?
Yeah, in terms of making the character.
Well, you know, I did have a template to work from because there is the graphic novel. But, I mean, we've deviated so much from the source material. You know, in the comic book, I think it was, I don't know, a page and a half. I'm not quite sure. So somebody probably knows exactly. But The Grief of Amy, and we had an entire season and a half of the grief over Amy. So, you know, it's real time. It's real human time. So, in the comic book, you know, Andrea has this event happen, and then she's just a badass, and she's just always a badass. And I think that, you know, fans sometimes of the comic book get frustrated with the television version of Andrea because she is a badass, but she's also flawed, and she, you know, has grieved, and, you know, there's a full person there, and, you know, there's a long time to explore all of the different facets of one's self and one's personality.
You literally have to take a two-dimensional character and flesh them out and make a three-dimensional character. Yeah.
And you know, the series creator actually has, like, you know, a different vision too. You know, in the sense of, like, I created a backstory that was almost like a prequel to Robert Kirkman's source material to kind of figure out who this girl was prior, you know, so that affected, you know, a biography, an actor's biography, so that, you know, I really created a full flesh and blood person who was, you know, affected by all of the circumstances.
Are all of you?
I love you for that. Don't we?
I had a listener email me and said, the reason I love The Walking Dead is because it reminds me of an old-time radio show, which I had never thought of before, but I thought it was such a cool encapsulation of maybe why it's really kind of sunk in with people, beyond the visual of it and people just like people getting stabbed in the head.
That's what you were saying about what you two.
Yeah, but it's really, you know, if you didn't like the characters, you wouldn't watch the show. And the show is really well cast. I directed 3 episodes of season 2 that haven't aired yet, and we were just talking. There was a really interesting moment where Lori and I were rehearsing and going through the script over Skype. So I was in my condo and she was in her condo, and we read through the entire script. And it was literally like, I felt like I was listening to a Walking Dead radio show.
Yeah.
Just hearing all of Andrew's stuff. I read all the other lines, didn't do a very good job because, you know, I'm a crappy actor. But it was really interesting to listen to it as a radio play, not seeing it. And what I love too is that the fact that they're airing the episodes in black and white.
Dude, I've been doing that from day one. I got this little 16-inch down in my basement. I watch it all the time. Yeah, everybody's up on the big screen watching it in living color, and oh no, that's dated. No, it's not.
HDT, the H3D, LHD,
right?
Right. And you've got the AV cables going down to the den.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
You know, when they aired the They aired the pilot in black and white, and I remember thinking how much it looked like Night of the Living Dead. Getting the green out of the trees and it being really contrasty, and that was our, you know, that was the holy grail when we started the show. It was Night of the Living Dead was sort of our template, and I remember saying to Mike, "Did you see the black and white thing? Dude, I watch a black and white every week. Screw that, it's awesome." So he's way ahead of everybody.
What would he say?
like a radio play?
Well, a listener of mine had emailed me and said that the reason they like the show so much, we've been talking about, I was talking about doing this, and we've had a couple of you guys on the show, and they said the reason that I like the show so much is it reminds me of an old-time radio show. Which, you know, like all the Lone Ranger or whatever all those old ones were they were. So I just thought that was such an interesting way to describe it. I just liked it. I thought it was cool. Watching the scene, Lauren, where Lori dies there, it was an odd reaction because everybody here claps.
That was kind of another clapping again.
Right, but just being reminded of Lori dying, that got them all revved up again. At least you know what to do now if you want cheap applause. You guys remember when Lori died? But as I'm watching this, obviously it's a really, it's obviously an intense show. Do actors practice their cries in the mirror? Do you practice crying?
I do all the time.
Definitely.
I was going to cry about 30 seconds.
Every time I crack one of those mirrors, it hurts.
Right. So you practice all the time, non-stop.
Well, I do the header on the mirror.
Uh-huh.
It cracks.
And you get to see yourself in all those little shards. So each one is a different Michael Rooker. That's cool. Yeah.
But no, I think it's unnecessary, Torch. I think when you're there in that situation, especially in that scene, which was every time I see it, I'm so completely gut-wrenched from watching it, and I just think you just forget about everything else but somebody laying in front of you dying and the tragedy of his child. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of.
You're completely in it.
The crying is always more a case of forgetting that anything else is real, forgetting your own life, forgetting everything else, and then just being there. I mean, literally. That whole thing, I mean, cutting a baby out of a woman, and a baby which was actually, I mean, all the special effects involved in that day were great. You would never know it, but that baby's afterbirth was made of yogurt and strawberry jam, which makes breakfast yes, but...
So there's always somebody...
But that's what we had, the reason we used that was because we had to put it on the real baby. We had fake rubber baby. And then we had
Big Rubber Baby was so ugly, it was disturbing.
I've seen these guys react and respond and act with that rubber baby. And
that Rubber Baby is doing pretty well now.
That rubber baby is doing a panel. The rubber baby is doing a panel tomorrow night. On stage with a
we needed rubber baby here, that's why
we could have thrown her.
On the outside, the rubber...
Just when you thought it couldn't get any better.
Yes, but going back to that, we had to use this is going really well, right? We had to use strawberry jam and yogurt because we had to put it on the real baby, and it had to match the fake baby. But you know that sequence, we had the fake pregnant belly strapped on Sarah. We had all the blood tubes, and we literally sliced it open, and Lauren stuck her hands in and pulled the baby. And I kept watching and going, how are they going to show this? I mean, they're literally slicing all over people, pulling the baby out. And when we were done shooting that scene, she was stuck to the floor. There was so much blood on Sarah's back and on her belly that she went to sit up and she's like, I think I'm just going to stay here for a minute.
And there was a couple of false passes too, because the blood, there's a pipe coming to the knife, and the knife would sometimes shoot a little bit of blood before the cut, so it would squirt blood and then cut.
God, you guys are telling all the secrets!
You mean it's not real?
Wait, am I fired?
Okay, what?
So for an effects guy, how do you know where you're like, yes, that's the one I want? It looks too much like Caro Seraphim red food color. It's got to be darker. It's got to be something else.
Well, you know, the show allows me a tremendous amount of freedom, which was all started with when we started with Frank, because I'm the second unit director on every season. So even like when you were watching the sequence in the opening where they're killing all the walkers going through the prison, we would shoot a lot of that first scene, and then I would go off with a separate camera crew and shoot all the inserts. So I have a lot of freedom. I mean, always the walkers in my episode always look the coolest, and someone's like, you just save all the good walkers for your episodes. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I do, what the fuck? Right. So I get a lot of freedom to really be able to do what I want. I don't have to go to other people to get approvals. Like on most movies or TV shows or something, you know, you'll have a director or a producer who'll be like, let me take a look at the test. I kind of just get a chance to do whatever whatever I want to do, and it gives us.
You're the only one that gets to do whatever you want to do. Face it.
So it's a giant playground, basically. I mean, in as much as it could be something, a creative endeavor, it's still more of that.
And I have to say one other quick thing. I got a great fan letter. There's an episode 15 that's coming up, I think March 24th. I got a great fan letter, and this girl spent 3 pages describing a walker. Like, I want to see a walker that looks like this. So we actually made that walker for that episode. And I kept the letter. So when we do the talking, I'm going to do the Talking Dead that night, and I'm going to take the letter and I'm going to read it on the show. Because it was so...
How long is the letter?
What's that?
How long is it going to be?
It'll be long. You're
gonna edit that thing, right?
Alright. I'll let you do it. You can do a dramatic reading of the letter.
I'll do a dramatic reading of the letter, but I'm going to have it a little bit beforehand, okay?
Alright.
I don't do cold readings.
It was just fun that that this fan spent so much time describing this walker. I'm like, we got to do that for the show. It'd be really cool.
What's the strangest fan interaction that you've had? I imagine there's no shortage of them. I mean, none of you guys are strangers to kind of genre work. Does anybody remember the name Marita Covarrubias? Oh man, that's it? That was my first Laurie Holden crush, was Marita Covarrubias on the X-Files. Fantastic. And so coming into something like The Walking Dead, you had probably already gone through the whole crazy fan experience from X-Files. And The Shield too?
They're not that crazy.
It's not that crazy.
Not on the fans. What do you mean by that?
Okay, I'll tell you the strangest thing that a fan's asked me to do.
Yeah.
A woman asked me to sign her boobs.
That's not. Remember I did days with.
No, I mean, if I was Norman Reedus, that would be normal.
I don't know how much time you can spend in Cleveland tonight, but there will be a lot of dudes asking you to sign their boobs too. He's wrapped already.
Your boobs.
But that's probably the genre is it is kind of dude-centric. So women who act in stuff like this, it's got to be a very different experience. Rooker's getting different letters than Lauren's getting.
That's not true.
Not true.
That's because we have the same. They all go to production because he steals mine.
Oh, you too? All right. So
You are such an awesome ass. Unbelievable. This is not magic.
But you're a Pittsburgh guy. I lived there for many years. And when you come from a place like that, it is very similar to Cleveland in that there is... as the only guy up here who's lived in both places...
Like you sort of said, that traditionally people that dig the genre are guys, but our show appeals to a much broader audience. I mean, I've had people stop me and go, dude, it's true. And I would say a good portion of it is to our great cast, but I'll have people stop me and say, dude, wait, you're going to be so, stay right here for a second, and he'll run away, bring his wife over, and he'll be like, she loves Walking Dead more than I do, and it's become this weird thing where, like, Sunday nights, people get together and have huge parties.
It's quite a family-oriented.
Grandma, the cousins, but that's probably mostly because it's a drama first that happens to be about zombie apocalypse.
But the amount of people that have been turned onto the show. It's pretty funny. Someone laughed.
Oh, you're horrible.
That are not into the zombies, but then watch it, to support us and stuff, and then end up falling in love with it because it is this character drama. And it's not just about the gore, but it's exciting and it is about.
And they all start with episode 1, and then they're hooked. Like they watch the first 6. And And then they watch season 2 and they watch, I mean, you never have somebody who goes, oh yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 episodes. They've either seen all of them.
They have to binge watch it, or they
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I was in
It's like watching Game of Thrones. You have to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Nicodero, I was in Rollins and at a convention down there, and there were 3 twin little boys, and they were only 7, and they came up, Dad and the mom.
Isn't that triplets?
They all came out at the same time.
Who knew that kid took so much out of you?
They were looking at me like, and their eyes were like absolute saucers. And they whispered to the dad, and he said, they want to know where your hand is. I don't have a hand. They were
And then they shot you in the ass with a crossbow. There's a 7-year-old Merle and a 7-year-old Daryl. Two squirrels Adam is.
How do you, for something like this, there are some shows it doesn't really matter, but for something like this, how do you lock down stuff so that spoilers aren't constantly leaking? Or is that next to an impossible task?
Yeah.
in the green room.
It's really hard. You know, I mean, what's fun about this particular night is when we do Comic-Con, the show's not airing. So Comic-Con in San Diego is sort of like a teaser. You know, you get a little appetizer for the show. So when we were standing backstage and showing this sizzle reel and you guys were reacting to it, what's exciting is we're all right in the middle of it. You know, there's another episode airing on Sunday night, and so it's kind of right in the middle of it with all the fans. But it's really challenging. You know, I mean, all the actors have fake names. The scripts, you know.
What's your fake name?
I don't have a fake name.
What's your
If you had
fake name?
one.
If I had one, oh God, I don't know. I'll think of
I know. It's your alias, right? Yeah, no, I have an alias.
Triple twin.
If you could tell your fake name right now, what would it be? A fake name. What would it be? Other than your fake name.
Triplet.
I would be triplet. Okay, I'd be triplet.
So it's hard. It's hard to keep. You know, it's important that we keep it real for the fans of the show because we don't want to ruin anything. You know, if I wasn't working on the show, I would not want to know. I would want to watch it every Sunday night and be excited about what was going to happen. So we really have to go to great lengths. You know, if we're sitting having dinner and a waitress comes over and we're talking about a scene, we literally have to be like, and then they put another drink down, and then we have to drink, and then we have to really try even harder.
When you
Speak for yourself, really, because I love telling people. They don't know. True, right? And then you really want to know, and usually people go, no.
That's true, that's true.
So when you're putting the whole thing together, do you guys kind of tend to, you know, as recently as a few years ago, you could have put a show together and there wouldn't have been Twitter and Facebook and all these people that were constantly engaged with it. Now, something like this, do you have to kind of isolate yourselves, or are you looking at what people are saying through the process?
Not at all. We never read Twitter, and we never look at our tweets.
Taking
And
your
we
phone
never
away.
tweet drunk. Never tweet drunk.
It's really funny because on Twitter you want to be saying like what you're up to on a day-to-day basis and putting funny pictures, and for 8.5 months of the year you pretty much can't do that because any picture that includes people or doesn't include people is going to lead to all the speculation of who's dead and who's alive and all this kind of stuff, and it's like even costume changes, you know, nothing to do with the show can be.
Yeah,
So you can't-
Have you gotten
so-
yelled at yet?
Lauren, you can't tweet something and go, oh, bummer, today's my last table read. Oops.
Have you gotten yelled at for doing like photos and stuff? I got yelled at. Yeah, yelled at her, yelled at me. She tweeted me. She tweeted, yelled at me. She did a DM.
Gail and her tweeted, she
By the
didn't even have your
way-
home number?
By the way, Mr. Brooker, we are not allowed to take photographs of characters that have not been seen yet. I didn't know.
But it's a pretty hush-hush thing in the sense that we all have aliases. and those are our aliases that are on our trailers. And then when we have script pages every day, like it won't say, you know, Andrea, Rick, you know, it'll say.
Don't say the real.
I won't say what their names are, but they'll be totally different names. So you know, so if it describes a scene, like
they'll say like squirrel kisses mouse or something.
Yeah,
it's very
squirrel and mouse, you know, talk at the wall. I mean, you know what I mean? And you're like, well, who's squirrel and mouse? So
it's like a Prince song.
Squirrel over.
But it really is like, it's so high tech. And then we have this ritual.
She and I are going to talk for a second.
We have this very sad ritual. We have death dinners whenever anybody dies. I know it's so morbid, but...
so you guys have been eating a lot then?
We have!
Oh, you mean main characters?
Well...
Not everyone who dies.
So, no, we don't, like the first episode, we didn't have 60 dinners for
No,
I can't wait any more Mastacholi. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we have to get a new venue because we were going to this one restaurant all the time, and we're always like, yeah, it's Lauren's birthday. Like, we always have it, it's someone's birthday. But then we're all so nervous. So it's like, yeah, you know, like, they're onto us now. Because it's like, because it was really a death dinner, but we're like, yeah, happy birthday. But then we're all walking down like sobbing.
Everyone knows about the death dinners now, so whenever we're all together in one place, they're thinking,
Somebody
Who's
died.
dead?
death dinner.
But we did realize that actually it's a whole new, it's almost like AFC needs to create a whole new kind of system to protect the stories coming out, because it's really, it's disaster if you know what's coming. I mean, the show is so based upon the element of surprise and the excitement in it that, yeah, it's like, thank you for that single cheer.
Nobody wants to be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, and
Damn it.
The way the process works is the writers spend a couple weeks in the writer's room, and